To make it in cannabis, you must first dare to. 12 years ago, MJ BizCon dared to unite the global cannabis community, igniting a movement that continues to thrive. The wait is over. Let's grow together this November 28th through December 1st in Vegas. You'll hear incredible stories, see groundbreaking innovations, and forge connections that you'll need to thrive in 2024. But wait, the clock is ticking. Get your tickets by September 28th and save up to $200. And here's a secret. Podcast listeners get 10% off with promo code 23POD10. That's 23POD10. Don't miss out. Get your tickets at mjbizcon.com. That's mjbizcon.com.
The trick is that you can't let the loss define you. You can let the loss shape you, and be humble and be observant and don't take it personally. You know, at the end of the day, you know, John Wooden, the greatest of all time, and he said it before, and a lot of the other great coaches like Dean Smith in North Carolina, but you know, John Wooden at UCLA basketball, you're like, if you gave it your all, that's all he ever wanted. He had teams that didn't win the national championship.
Welcome to the Miracle Plant Podcast, the show that inspires, promotes, and gives you a daily dose of inspiration from the people who have used cannabis to change their lives in extraordinary ways. Here's your host, Justin Benton.
Welcome back to the Miracle Plant Podcast, where we discuss this miracle plant with so many names and how it's helping people in so many extraordinary ways. Well, today we're going to talk about getting what you want. And there are people out there that have the keys to whatever it is that you want in life. We are talking about this concept called the Dream 100. Now, if it's the first time you've ever heard about it, well, sit back and relax and enjoy. It's an incredible concept that started back. The first time I ever heard it was when Chet Holmes wrote this amazing book called The Ultimate Sales Machine. And he talked about exactly what he did when he was working for Charlie Munger, who's Warren Buffett, like the wealthiest man in the world's partner. And, you know, Chet Holmes came in and he was working for a magazine, and he was in charge of sales, and they were the on the lowest rung in their industry, kind of the laughing stock. And he put together a Dream 100 list, kind of like whale hunting, like the biggest clients that could advertise in a magazine. And so he sent them packages, and he reached out to them, and he would go to the conferences and really target these folks. And then after like 3 or 4 months, still nothing. He got nothing back after doing all of his efforts and sending gifts and cards and emails and phone calls and, you know, glad handing and everything that you can do. And then 1 came in, and then 2 came in to advertise in the magazine. And then, wouldn't you know, I believe the number was somewhere around 43 out of the Dream 100. And then it went from worst to first. And, you know, that was what set it off for Chet Holmes in his illustrious career. And, you know, he was even ended up partnering with Tony Robbins and Russell Brunson. And fortunately, he passed away a few years back. But his daughter, Amanda, is carrying the torch, which is awesome. And we'll be working closer with her with the Secrets of Success launch that we're doing. Now, that's the first time that I heard of it. And back in the day, I've always been in direct marketing and direct response sales. And so we would do the same thing, you know, for our company and for our sales team, is kind of put together that Dream 100 list, and it made a lot of sense. We called it whale hunting, like going after Moby Dick with a rowboat, some tartar sauce, and a spork from KFC, if you guys remember those. And so it made a ton of sense to me. But when we started the Miracle Plant mission, you know, when this Miracle Plant helped heal my son from a severe autism diagnosis, that's when I read, when the world shifted in March of 2020, I read the book that just got released at the exact same time called Traffic Secrets by Russell Brunson. And so in the beginning, he says there's a storm coming. Winter is coming. Like it's something, is on the horizon. And how just poetic justice could it be that right at that moment is when COVID hits, the book comes out, and he talks about this concept called the Dream 100. Well, the Dream 100, the way Russell teaches it, is that there are 100 influencers or celebrities or ideal business partners or people who have already collected your audiences. And so you make a list of 100 of those people. And it's not just 100. It could be 100 in general, like authors. It can be 100 on Instagram, 100 on YouTube, 100 on podcasts, newsletters, blogs. You could do 100 for each. And I believe the first time he did it was somewhere around 650. And so the reason that we're talking about this today is I'm actually putting together our Dream 100 list, Russell and I, for our Secrets of Success launch. And I was like, well, as I'm literally doing this right now and putting down Tony Robbins and Oprah Winfrey and all these folks, I was sitting there thinking like, well, what a great concept to share. Because regardless of whatever it is that you're doing right now in life, whether it's wanting to, promote something that you care about, a passion, whether you have a business, whether there's something out there, a mission, a calling, something that you want to do, there are people out there that already have collected your ideal audience for you to speak to them, whatever that is. Like for entrepreneurial and business, it's much more clear because you understand who your avatar is or your ideal client. And for Russell, his top of the list guy or person was Tony Robbins when he made his Dream 100 list, because Tony had collected a huge audience and, was incredible with personal development. And Russell knew that if he could get into Tony's world and have Tony help promote Russell's products and books and services, then that would be the exponential growth in his business. Well, here's where irony or destiny would play out. So I'm driving, this is back in like 2019. I'm driving down the one, beautiful drive out there by Malibu, heading back home. And I got an email. And I think it was from Tony. Yeah, it was from Tony's email list. And he says, I'm going live in an hour. I'm like, what? That was weird. And I was like, okay. I'm driving, and service was okay, but it plugs in, and all of a sudden, it's Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi, who's his partner now and CEO. And they're promoting this thing called mastermind.com. And I'm like, well, this is cool. And all of a sudden, this bright-eyed young man jumps in there and starts talking about, serving the audiences we were called to serve and how important it was. And obviously, I'm on a mission to heal the world, reach 1 billion people by 2025, about the power of this miracle plant. And here comes Russell sitting in between Tony and Dean talking about serving those we were called to serve. And it just absolutely struck a chord with me. I was like, that's it. That's what I'm doing. And so that was how we were introduced, because Russell served Tony, and he served him for 10 years. Doing anything he wanted. If Tony wanted Russell to speak at an event, Russell would hop on a plane and go. Russell would reach out for a book funnel for Tony and do it, for free, and just give service and just over deliver until a point where Russell wrote his second book called Expert Secrets. And that was when he did the reach out to Tony. And after 10 years of service, he nervously asked, like, hey, Tony, would it be okay if would you promote my book? And Tony was like, sure, why not? And so, Russell was able to promote on Tony's network, interview Tony, and then even smart enough, Russell and his team were able to get into Tony's Facebook account, with their permission, of course, and run ads through Facebook ads through Tony's account. Obviously, Russell's team paid for it, but they were able to promote their book and videos and all those kinds of things. And sure enough, lo and behold, a few years later, our paths crossed, because I was in Tony's world. Russell was partnering with Tony on mastermind.com, and that's when I was introduced to Russell, and it really struck a chord that he was my dream 100 at the top of the list. For many reasons, partially because he said, it was so important to him. He's such a, service-based individual. He gives back so much. He's caring, he's genuine, he's authentic, he's trustworthy. And he's an expert, and he's helped not only his own business grow to 9 figures, 100 million plus, but he's also helped many other of people that he's mentored over the past 10, 15 years reach those types of numbers and teach it. I've never met anybody that not only has made it, but has brought others up and is willing to share all the secrets that helped him get there and be able to share them in a way that is simple to understand. And so it was just incredible that here I am on my journey to heal the world and do what I'm called to do. And, I was serving Russell, and I was like, sending him, gifts or anticipating business needs. And that's how the whole, Napoleon Hill thing happened. And first it was an auction that I showed up and got some really cool things for Russell that he wanted. And then I hopped on a plane and, met with Don Green at the Napoleon Hill Foundation and figured out a way to make a deal happen so Russell could get the keys to the castle, so to speak, at Napoleon Hill, and Don could get what he wanted, which was, helping kids and scholarships for future generations to have access to Napoleon Hill's teachings. And then it turned into, Earl Nightingale, and lo and behold, yeah, we signed the deal. I don't know if I've said that here on the podcast. And, through my connections through Don and Sound Wisdom and David and Nathan down there, we set up a meeting with Vic Conant, who runs Nightingale Conant. For those of you who don't know, Earl Nightingale wrote The Strangest Secret, which was the first audio spoken word to ever sell 1 million copies. And the cool thing is that the guys down there, Jason, in fact, said that they're going to send us the actual gold record that was given to them for the 1 million copies sold for The Strangest Secret. So that's going to be in the Atlas Museum and Library. So I digress. Lots of exciting things happening here. And again, so I was serving Russell, right? And I wasn't paid to do this. Russell did, obviously he gave me very big clues that he was very into Napoleon Hill. And I just took the initiative and flew out there and made the deal happen. But, with Nightingale, he was like, could you imagine if we had, because we had everything from 1850, Samuel Smiles and Orange Sweat Martin, the original personal development. And then Russell spent like $10 million or whatever over the last 3 years or so collecting all these rare books. So we basically have all of the books from 1850 to 1950, and then there's some copyright laws that come into play, so you gotta make sure you're getting rights and all that kind of stuff, and that's what we do. But then Russell left the Voxer, and anytime Russell leaves like a 5-minute plus Voxer, there's going to be some good stuff in there, some gold. He's going to download this master plan that he has up in his head, which is crazy. I don't know how he holds it all up there. And anyways, he was telling me, he's like, so we've got everything from 1850 up until the copyrights around 1950. And, could you imagine the greatest library in the history of the world? Everybody from 1950 went around, when Earl Nightingale was around, to 2000, everybody got published through Nightingale Conant. That's just where you went. They were the leaders. That's the one. And like every single person you can think of, from 1950 to 2000, Zig Ziglar, Dale Carnegie, of course, Tony Robbins, the list goes on and on and on and on and on. Everybody went to Nightingale Conant because they were the leaders. And so he said, could you imagine if we got rights to their library from 1950 to 2000? And I was like, I'm just crazy like that. I live in a manifestation world. I live in a go get it. I mean, it's just go get it done. And that's just who I am. That's who I grew up. That's in my DNA. It's whatever. So literally, we set up a meeting within a week. I mean, it was probably within 48 hours with Vic Conant, who is the son at Nightingale Conant, who runs Nightingale Conant. And we had a meeting and we talked some things, and within 6 weeks, because there's always a little back and forth and try to understand everything, we had a deal signed. So we got that deal signed. And so, again, that was me serving Russell, right? Doing what Russell did to Tony, I did to Russell, which was like, how can I deliver? How can I pay you back? Tony changed Russell's life, with, his amazing events like Unleash the Power Within and Date with Destiny and all that good stuff. And so, and Russell wanted to pay Tony back, but also wanted to basically partner with Tony in some way. And I was the same with Russell. Like, Russell taught me so much, like the Dream 100 and how to sell this miracle plan online with all these like order form bumps and upsells and follow-up funnels and all these incredible things that I didn't know. And I mean, I have read, because I was in sales. I've always been in sales, you know, and marketing was kind of, you know, close, but it wasn't my area. So there was, you know, obviously, I knew plenty about marketing, but it wasn't my specialty. It wasn't what I was in charge of over my professional career for the last 25 years. And so when COVID hit and we knew we needed to shift everything online because the world was conditioned, right? Like 17% of Americans averaged shopping online first. This was before COVID. So these people were already getting their groceries delivered. They were already getting Grubhub. They were already, you know, going beyond just Amazon. They were going to the internet first. Well, after COVID, it conditioned and taught all of us to shop online to the point of like it like quadrupled. So we're talking like 68% plus are shopping online. Well, I'm not telling you anything you don't know because you do it, right? And so now you got to learn how to where the people are shopping, which is online. And so if you don't know how to do it, Russell Brunson is the best. There's not a second place. There's no one else who's even close. He's the man. And so, like I said, when I, serendipitously found Traffic Secrets right when I needed it, and he taught me all the things that I needed to know and really help our business, and our mission to reach 1 billion people by 2025, I put him at the top of my Dream 100 list because I just wanted to say thanks and align with him any way that I could. And who would have thought? I didn't know. Who would have thought 2 years later, 3 years later, that we are partners in this amazing Secrets of Success launch, changing the world of personal development, bringing back the secrets from hundreds of years ago, the proven frameworks, and sharing them with the world. And it's crazy how life works out when you have a definiteness of purpose, which is, rule number 1 in Think and Grow Rich of Napoleon Hill. And you just keep going. You know where you're going. You know why you're going. You've got a big enough why. And you just keep going. And whether there's failure, failure is not an identity, right? Failure is a part of the process. Nobody, we don't win. We don't learn much when we win, right? In fact, a lot of our egos get bigger and we think we're the reason that it happened. If something good happens in our life, especially professionally, and then we're like, well, it's me, it's awesome, and all those kinds of things. In fact, you get kind of weak and weaker the more you win, because if you win, you don't really, learn much from it. You just kind of think, you're the bee's knees. Well, when you lose, that's the opportunity where you can really, really analyze what could I have done better? Why didn't it work? What can I do better next time? Like, look, you guys know me. I'm a Nebraska Cornhuskers fan, right? College football, born and raised, love this stuff. We got a new coach. We had a game on Thursday, and we didn't have many expectations because it's been a tough go over the last 20 years. And we got up towards the end of the game, and it felt like we were in control and we were going to win. And we had some turnovers. The ball didn't bounce our way, and we got beat with a field goal at the last second. I promise you that it's an opportunity to get better with the loss. Coach Matt Rule, he's got his players' attention. The trick is that you can't let the loss define you. You can let the loss shape you, and be humble and be observant and don't take it personally. At the end of the day, John Wooden, the greatest of all time, and he said it before, and a lot of the other great coaches like Dean Smith in North Carolina, but John Wooden at UCLA basketball, you're like, if you gave it your all, that's all he ever wanted. He had teams that didn't win the national championship, but he won like 12 in a row. And they lost the game, but he saw that his players gave everything they had. Everything they had. They left it all out on the court. And if you do that in life, you're a winner. It doesn't matter what the scoreboard says, because you did all you could do. And the great thing about sports and life and business is there's always a next day. There's always another day to learn, to apply, to win. Failure is not a destination. It's just a stepping stone on the way to wherever you're going. And it is the greatest teacher if you allow it to teach you. Anywho, I digress. So we're talking about the Dream 100, and we're talking about how you can apply it to your life, to whatever it is that you want to do. What is your calling? What is the thing that you want to do, right? That's the definitive of purpose. What is the thing that you want to do with your life? And it could be anything, right? It could be have a great family. It could be financial independence. It can be control of your time, control of your emotions. But if you're like me and you've got a calling to get out there and change the world, leave your dent in the universe, as Steve Jobs liked to say, then this Dream 100 philosophy is the way to do it. Now look, it's a long road, but some roads have to be long. That's just the way it is. To build genuine relationships with people, like a genuine relationship, it takes time. There's no shortcuts. Okay, here's one little shortcut. I'll give you one shortcut. 2 shortcuts. First shortcut, forget who taught me this. I have to look it up. Is the fastest, it might be my boy Jeffrey Gitomer. It might be. I'll dig it up. The fastest way to get someone to trust you is to make them laugh. So humor, if you're funny, now look, there's 2 kinds of funny, right? And one funny is, do you make yourself laugh? Because that's really important, because you got to be with yourself 24/7. So at least you need to think you're funny. That's step 1. But in order to have the fastest bond between people, or the fastest way for someone to like you or to trust you, believe it or not, is to make them laugh. So work on your jokes, find some good comedy, and that is a bit of a shortcut to build rapport, if you can make people laugh. Now, if you're not funny, doesn't mean you can't be funny. You can study funny. You can read books, watch, Netflix or whatever, and you can become funnier. And that is one way to build faster trust, right? So there's one little trick, and it's not a trick. Look, people just like to be around funny people. So be more funny. The second hack, if you will, is what we're talking about here with the Dream 100. And so the Dream 100, another way is if you go to the top of the list, like Tony, we also talk about, and Russell talks about this in his books that he learned from Tim Ferriss, the 4-Hour Work Week, which is the big domino. Russell was obviously the big domino, whether, and he's helping us with the Miracle Plant, and it's all over. We handed it out to everybody at Funnel Hacking Live last year, and everybody pretty much knows about me and the Miracle Plant and the story and all that, which is great. So it's out there getting the mission bigger and bigger. So the big domino talks about what's the one big domino that's going to knock over all the other dominoes that are in your way from accomplishing the thing you want to accomplish, right? And so for me, again, it was Russell. And at the top of the list, you can have Russell and partnering with Russell. So now you get into the Cool Kids Club, right? So Russell's in the Cool Kids Club. Everybody loves Russell. He's the internet's favorite marketer, and the best. But everyone loves Russell. Like Grant said it when he was out there, Grant Cardone, promoting out at the launch for ClickFunnels 2.0. He's like, I don't know how you do it, but everybody likes you. Everybody loves Russell. And so anyways, now when you're in the Cool Kids Club, right? So, me and Russell are partners, and I've been serving him for years and figuring out ways to anticipate and help and do all those kinds of things. And so now when I get introduced to Tony or whoever through Russell, then I'm a part of the Cool Kids Club, and we're on the same level. So it's instead of me like trying to climb my way up gatekeepers and all those kinds of things to Tony's people or whoever's people, I just get an email or a text or a Facebook Messenger, 3-way, and Russell says, hey, this is Justin, he's amazing, listen to what he has to say about secrets of success, he's incredible about this, that, and the other. Or if Tony wants to have like a CBD product or something like that, and he asks Russell, where do you think he's going to send them? To me, right? So that is the 2 ways to kind of shortcut the process. Other than that, it's a long game. And sometimes you got to play the long game because you can't shortcut, real, genuine relationships. And in the process of doing the long game, you learn along the way. You're going to have pitfalls. You're going to, my boy Christopher Voss, who we did One Connection Away with, he's got a great saying about it's like coaxing over a squirrel. Right? And so, getting with these influencers or celebrities or these Dream 100 people that have your audience that can help you have massive growth, however you define that, it's like coaxing over a squirrel. Like you might get their attention, you send them something cool in the mail, or you do something creative that anticipates a business need for them, and they're like, whoa, that was cool, awesome. And then you don't immediately go in for the ask. You gotta like take your time and build a relationship and continue to over deliver. At some point you do need to ask. And I did. It's the same thing with Russell. Like at one, he sent me a Voxer, which is like a voicemail text thing app that we use. And he reached out to me for help finding a position in the company at ClickFunnels. And it was right up the alley of Napoleon Hill Foundation and kind of overseeing what was going on there. And I said, dude, I'm your guy. Like let me handle it. And if I don't knock it out of the park, then I'll find someone who will. But since I understand all the Napoleon Hill stuff, let me knock it out. Well, then Russell got right back to me and he's like, hey, if you want to play ball, if you want us to partner together, I've got $1 billion idea that I've been working on. And that was the beginning of our solidifying our partnership with Secrets of Success. And so here we are, right? So I did ask. And so you do over deliver, and then ask. Just like, it took 2 or 3 or 4 years, for the ask to come. But, it took, Russell about 10 years with Tony for the ask to come. So you do need to ask. But again, I'm documenting the journey. I'm telling you guys what's going on. I hope it helps you and your insights for what you're trying to accomplish with your lives or your missions or your businesses. And part of it is I'm just telling what's going on so you know what's going on. And, this Dream 100 philosophy that started with Chet Holmes and was turbocharged and tweaked with Russell Brunson, because, again, with Chet Holmes, it was business to business, right? So he was a business magazine looking for advertisers. He reached out to other businesses that could pay for the advertising in the magazine. With Russell, it's business to consumer. So you're a business that you're reaching out to consumers who has already collected those consumers or that traffic. Tony's got who knows how many millions of followers, right? Oprah Winfrey, how many millions of followers, right? You know how many people's lives were made by getting on Oprah or getting on Oprah's book club? I mean, the list goes on and on. It's kind of like back in the day for Johnny Carson. If you were a comedian and you got on Johnny Carson and Johnny asked you to come over and sit next to him after your stand-up bit, you were made. Everyone knew. If Johnny liked you, you were made. And, Jerry Seinfeld told a funny story about that, and he was on Johnny Carson a bunch, like 6 or 7 times. And obviously, Johnny would have him come sit next to him. This is like back in the 80s. And then finally he was like, why isn't anyone at NBC reaching out to me for a sitcom? And finally somebody reached out to Jerry for a sitcom. And then they said, do you have any ideas, Jerry? He's like, nope. I just wanted to be, invited to this meeting. That's as far as I had it. And then like literally Larry David and him were talking at a deli like a couple days later. And then they said, and that's when it was like, why don't we just do this? And then that was it. And so then Jerry reached back out to NBC and there's Seinfeld. I heard that on a Howard Stern interview. You can look it up, the whole thing. So again, it's just a matter of when you have the connection, when you have the person that's going to allow you to get into the cool kids club, when you've got the list of people that have already collected your audiences out there, and you make a list. That's the first thing. You got to make a list. And when it's business to consumer, there are, we know the world we live in with the influencers and the Kardashians, which I'm not a huge fan of, the whole materialism and the whole comparison stuff and all that, social media. There's good and bad. It's a tool. But it can be used for good. And so I encourage you that, again, if you have a mission, a business, a passion that you want to, and here's the cool thing about Dream 100, it doesn't really cost much money, right? Because like with Facebook ads and Google ads and all this other stuff, look, you can drop $1,000 in a week quick. Like, you can drop millions in a week, but like even it's expensive, to test ads and things like that. And the prices of ads are going up. And Russell's been talking about that a lot lately. It's like, look, it's harder and harder, like to get a lead to come in. It used to be $1 a lead. Now it's closer to $20 a lead, and if you don't know how to get your average cart volume up, I mean, you're going to lose money on ads. But the great thing with Dream 100 is it doesn't cost a lot of money. It doesn't cost a lot of money to follow people on social media and see what they're up to and comment on their posts and be thoughtful, and maybe send a gift here or a gift there in the mail or show up at one of their events for a meet and greet and really work on those kinds of things. And so, again, I'm just documenting the journey. I literally, before I hopped on the podcast, was over here working on the Dream 100 with the Secrets of Success, literally putting in Tony Robbins and putting in, Oprah Winfrey and all these amazing influencers that we're going to reach out to tell them about this incredible, mission that we're on to teach future generations how they can take control of their mindset with Secrets of Success. And so I figured, hey, let's tell the Miracle Plant audience. And as everybody knows, along the way, everybody hears my story, gets to try our products, and see that for themselves the power of this Miracle Plant in the raw form. So again, thanks for swinging by the Miracle Plant podcast. I really do appreciate you listening or passing this on to somebody who could learn either from my journey, whether it's with, Secrets of Success and Russell Brunson, or my journey with Miracle Plant in our stores out here on the West Coast. And we ship all over the world, internationally. So reach out to us, and the show notes will have some links there as well. So, and I'm sure we'll also have a link for you to get signed up for Secrets of Success. We've got a really, really amazing affiliate program that you get paid to just tell others about how they can take control of their mindset. And we also have one for the Miracle Plan as well. You get paid to tell other people to share with other people to try the Miracle Plant. Again, because we're on a mission to reach 1 billion people by 2025. And this is the way. It's got, sometimes it just has to be word of mouth. Sometimes it's got to be referrals and going viral. So again, thanks for swinging by the Miracle Plant podcast. At the end of every podcast, we say heal the world, because that is the mission, to get out there and heal the world, whether it be from sharing on Facebook about this Miracle Plan or friends or forwarding podcasts. That's what it's all about. So on the count of 3, let's say heal the world and get out there and do it. Ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Heal the world! Thanks for swinging by the Miracle Plant podcast. Be sure to tune in next week. Rate, review. That helps us so much. Be a blessing, everybody, and happy healing.
Thanks for listening to today's show. To check out more great cannabis podcasts, go to PodConx.com. Here's a preview of one of our other shows.
Are you looking for the next great cannabis business to invest in? Then you need to check out the MJ Bulls podcast. Hi, I'm Dan Humiston. Join me each week as I speak to both cannabis entrepreneurs who are raising capital and cannabis investors who are investing capital. Our 10-minute episodes are perfect for the busy investor. Start listening to the MJ Bulls podcast today, wherever you listen to podcasts, and who knows, maybe you'll discover the next cannabis unicorn.